Biliyor musun? Erken rezervasyon başladı. Yazın en renkli fırsatları cyprusparadise.com'da. %40, %50 hatta %60'a varan kaçırılmaz indirimler. Erken rezervasyon yap, uçak bileti fiyatına paket tatili al. Uygun fiyata Kıbrıs tatilinin adresi cyprusparadise.com. Zaman akıp gitmeden acele edin. Bir bakmışsınız yaz gelmiş. Cyprus Paradise. Tatiliniz bizimle güvende.
Kalitenin, güvenin, hızlı teslimatın adresi Ancon Furniture. Ancon Furniture ailesi olarak yeni ürünler ile hizmete devam etmekteyiz. Yeni model koltuk takımlarımız, yatak mekanizmaları bir dokunuş ile açılıp bir dokunuş ile kapanabilmektedir. Bir dokunuş ile açtığımız yatak mekanizmasının yatak çarşafı kullanıma hazır, serili olarak içinden çıkmaktadır. Yıl sonuna kadar herhangi bir koltuk takımı alan her müşterimize akıllı sehpa hediyemizdir. En iyi ürün, en iyi fiyat. Sadece Ancon Furniture'da. Bize uğramadan karar vermeyin. En iyisini biz yapana kadar daha iyisi yok.
Welcome to the next episode of the latest printed press. Today we will be discussing businesses and how to stay COVID compliant. The TCCA COVID compliance project is supporting Turkish-speaking micro businesses initially in Hackney. And if you want to know how to make your workplace COVID secure during the coronavirus pandemic, then tune into this program where the TCCA are going to be helping local businesses. So in conjunction to that, I'm going to now be introducing our guests for today. Erim Metto, who is a TCCA CEO, is on our program today. Hello, Erim. Welcome to my program once again.
Thank you so much for inviting me again.
Yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful. Metin, who is the Direct Community Support.
Hi, how are we all doing? Thank you for having me on today.
No, thank you, Metin, for coming on to the program. Thank you very much. And Gulay Ermiya, who is the COVID-19 Information Officer and Occupational Psychologist also, and also the production director of You Against TV as well. I've got to say that too, Gulay. Welcome to my program. It's so nice to see you in front of the camera instead of behind it.
It's nice to be here with everyone tonight.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, obviously you are here because of this project. But before we do that, what I'd quite like to do is introduce the three of you to our audiences. Obviously, you're all already, all of you, very well known in our community. But just for the program's sake, if we start with Erim and we work our way around, Erim, if you could just give us a short introduction of what you do.
My name is Erim Metto. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Turkish Cypriot Community Association, TCCA. I'm also the lead for the Turkish Cypriot COVID-19 initiative, and this project falls underneath the guises of that project.
Yes, and Metin, if you could give us a brief introduction.
So my name is Metin, and I'm the director of two companies that are working for this project. Direct Community Support is our community outreach program, but Direct Eco Solutions is our environmental solutions program, who will be carrying out the audits for making sure that businesses are COVID compliant.
That's brilliant. It sounds really, really brilliant. And Gulay, if you could give us an introduction as well.
So I'm the production director of You're Against TV, but I am also an occupational psychologist. and I am now on the Hackney project, working as the information officer. So I'm part of this project.
Yeah, and it sounds like a great project. Before we go on to Erim to tell us what COVID-19 compliance certification means, we've got a few people already giving us comments. Naima has put, good evening, amazing people. Hussein Hodja has put, lovely lot, happy Bayram, lovely insanlar, which is very, very sweet. So we've got already quite a few people listening in. And if anybody out there wants to know about how to become COVID-19 compliant with their business, please log on to this program and watch it afterwards. We'll be sharing it out. So Erim, can you tell us, what is COVID-19 compliance certification? What does it mean?
So a while ago, we decided as an organisation that we didn't just want to support individuals during the period of COVID. We was looking forward, and we knew that at some stage that the world was going to open up. We knew that at some stage that individuals are going to want to return back to their businesses. Now, in relationship to the Turkish Cypriot community, we've been exceptionally hard hit during COVID, not just because of the amount of deaths we've had, not just because of the amount of people that have been hit by COVID, but the businesses. A lot of our individuals that work in our community work in micro business, which are smaller business between 2 to 10 people. And what they are is things like restaurants, dry cleaners, all those have had to close down. They're not businesses that you can take to your home or work from home from computers. They're not businesses that can access other funding. A lot of these businesses can't even access furlough funding or grants that have been initiated by the government. So it means that our community, their bread and butter, their money that they need to live in day in, day out, is not coming into their household. So we got a number of initiatives that are happening alongside each other. And one of those is that as we move closer to full scale opening, we want to ensure that businesses are COVID compliant as much as possible. So the idea and the concept comes from the fact that the majority of our community who are working within these businesses may not understand the information that's been put out by the government around what compliance is, what the issues are, and what is good practice in those businesses. So we put that forward to fund for a funder in Hackney. We got accepted for funding. So the initial pilot is for 50 organisations that we will pilot, and that pilot will include going into the organisations and going through all their initiatives that they have. Some initiatives may not be in place that are minor amendments to their practices or what they do. Even like when we're speaking to Metin, and it's his area of speciality, when he came down to TCCA and just made some minor comments around how we can change our practices slightly, how we can change the chemicals and the items that we use within the business to make us more friendly towards the earth, to make us more health conscious, and to make us more accessible to the community, but not taking away the services that we wanted to provide was quite amazing. It quite shocked me as well, because we are normally quite compliant in relationship to COVID. So for us to go into those organisations, a completely free service that will help those organisations to maintain standards which safeguards their employees as well as the people who access those premises, and ensure that we keep to very high standards, means that as a community we can start to generate funds again for people that are on the lowest income within our community, and ensure that we keep our community as safe as possible. We can also use the expertise of people like Metin to be able to advise us and direct us in the right direction. And it just happened that we was going to be employing someone else, and Metin came along and said to us, look, I can do this, it's my speciality. And the stuff he was coming out with, I don't think we could have got anyone better in the community to take the lead in this project. So with Gulay's connections with the businesses, and with Metin being able to take the lead on advising us on what products and practices that we can utilize, we thought this would be a good project to launch. We're providing the initial launch and the initial information today, and people will be able to contact us in the future to be able to jump onto the scheme and to have their businesses looked at if they're in the Hackney area. We are looking at how we can work out other areas like Enfield, Haringey. At the moment, we don't have funding for that, but there will be possibilities of actually looking at mechanisms that would allow a small payment to be made in order for that to happen.
Yeah,
so that's the idea, that's the project, and it's something that we're building on to ensure that our community is safe.
Yeah, I think it was very much needed. So obviously, this trio most certainly is going to be really, really good. I mean, my next question goes to Gulay. The main business is being targeted from part of the Workforce Health Project. Can you tell us a little bit about the project, and why do you think it is advantageous for businesses to be part of this scheme?
So the Workforce Project originally started back in 2019 and ended in 2020. Over the course of the project, information was collected from around 63 businesses, including over 220 participants. The information collected was used to understand the physical and mental well-being of the employees in order to help them improve their well-being. Over several visits, we were able to successfully support these employees. Projects like this have many advantages. For example, there is a lack of understanding of the link between health, mental health, and work-related illnesses, especially in the Turkish-speaking community. Such things like mental health, there is a lack of understanding. So projects like this brings about awareness in forms of communications that is accessible to them. This was one of the great things about this project, was having information accessible both in English and Turkish for the employees to be able to educate them and enable them to understand and make changes in their lifestyles. We had different seminars from health professionals in Turkish and English, and I was lucky enough to give a seminar about stress and well-being in the workplace. Overall, this project was very successful, and now at the TCCA Hackney branch, as Erim has mentioned, we're all working alongside each other to support businesses during this pandemic to be COVID compliant. So not only protect customers, but also their employees. If employees have a safe environment to work in, they'll feel safe, protected, happy, and in effect will be more productive in the workplace and will have a higher well-being. Furthermore, I think there's a great need in our community. Our communities are not always aware of the government regulations and how to be compliant. So projects like this will be able to mold a mentality and have a great understanding on the links between being compliant, running a successful business, and employee health. So as Erim mentioned, this is a pilot study, and we hopefully will expand on this too. And we'll have several other projects in the Hackney office regarding the vaccines. And but at this present moment, we are supporting businesses in the area of Hackney.
Yeah, no, it sounds absolutely amazing. I'm just blown away by all the things that you've done and that you're doing. It's just truly really, really good. Very, very helpful for these businesses. I mean, I think, and the fact is that it's a free service as well. So certainly very, very useful and needed at this time, I think, to boost the confidence of people who've got small businesses. Metin, can you tell us what will occur as part of the checks carried out, and how will the STAR system operate?
Yeah, of course. I just want to start off by first of all saying a massive thank you to Gulay and Erim and TCCA Harrogate, because obviously, you know, this is community driven and needed. So without their organization and without their efforts, sometimes these elements of compliance and understanding by our community will be left behind. And as has already been mentioned, from a health and safety perspective, from a well-being perspective, and then from a business perspective, this has other repercussions. So this is very, very much needed in our community. And I want to just say a massive thank you for them to allow me to be involved in it. In terms of the actual audit then, so what we've done is we've looked at what compliance is and broken it into three main sectors. So you've got compliance with regards to the actual building itself. So what is the building layout? How can it have a one-way system, signage, the COVID screens, all of the things that make the building itself compliant. Then we've looked at it from the perspective of the customer journey. So what is the customer interaction with that particular business? What is the service? What is the product offering? How do they then interact with that business? And then we've looked at it from the workers' perspective, so from the staff perspective. And I think Gulay really hit it on the head in terms of, if you've got a happy workforce who understand what you're doing to be open and to be compliant, not only will that certification and that audit boost their confidence and make them feel safer in the workplace, but that then translates to the interaction with the customer. If you imagine that without this audit and without educating the owners, the business owners and the staff members, you don't have confidence then in the consumer. And that's what is going to impact our businesses in our community most. If the customers don't have the confidence to come back to the businesses, there's a massive downturn and a massive knock-on the supply chain. So at the heart of it, yes, this is about compliance, meeting government regulations, looking at it from the factor of those three main sectors. We will then score them within each one of those sectors and then extrapolate from that an overall 5-star rating. And then depending on obviously where they are on that 5-star rating, we give them a report afterwards that advises them why they got the score they did for each section, what they can do to become more compliant for each one of those sections, and therefore ultimately increase their rating. But putting that aside, the main thing that this does is, one, confidence for the business owner to reopen, two, confidence for the staff members to return back to work, and three, ultimately give the consumer the confidence to go back and interact with those businesses. And it's all about doing it not only in a compliant way, but as Erim alluded to, it's about doing it in a way that's environmentally friendly, safe for the staff, safe for the business. I mean, to highlight it from a really easy perspective, when this first hit, a lot of the community just went out there and bought off-the-shelf products, as many as they could, to make sure that they were compliant. They were doing it from the right place. They had the right intentions. But when we were going out and auditing these businesses previously, what they were buying were antibacterial. So straight away, you're on a back foot because we're fighting a virus. So unless the products you've got are actually going to combat a virus, having as much antibacterial sprays as you want or antibacterial hand gels in a building won't make you COVID compliant. And that's the issue. It's getting that information across, that education across, and that understanding across to our business owners.
Definitely. And once they go through this, will they have certificates that they can display in their businesses?
So yeah, absolutely. So they get a report from us, the audit report with the scoring and why they scored what they did and what the recommendations are. And then very similar to food hygiene certificates, we're designing our own certificate that they will be able to display in the window. And that's where the confidence part comes through. Once our community knows this initiative is out there and they know what to look out for, the minute they see a COVID secure 5-star rating, they've got the confidence that they can go into that business and not put themselves or their families at risk.
Most certainly. Yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Erim, what other work will you be doing with businesses over the next few months? And will this scheme be offered out to other boroughs? Because obviously at the moment it's just for Hackney.
Yeah, I mean, as part of a funding initiative that we put forward to Hackney, which they bought into, which was, what steps do we take now that COVID is coming towards a natural first stage end? You know, there's things which will happen in the future. We can't read the crystal ball to say where we'll be in 6 to 8 months' time, but we know that businesses really want to open. So our focus at this particular time was businesses and looking at supporting our Turkish speaking businesses and looking at cultural, linguistic and other barriers that exist within our community and being able to access the information which is out there and which we need specialists to kind of give to our community. And if you think about it, there's certain ways that information is portrayed and is made accessible, and certain people within our community can only access it when it's face to face with a person that they trust and explains it down to the nitty gritty. Why is this needed for this? Why can't we do it this way? Things like that. So we need to kind of explain it a bit further, and it's to protect our business, because I think we forget that the ramifications of a business not being able to open affects those people who work in those businesses, who then affects their families, who then affects the money that comes in, who then puts money on the table to feed the children and the younger people that are part of that family. So all this has an ongoing effect. And what we're doing is we're not trying to support the businesses that have finances. We're trying to support the smaller businesses that day in, day out try to fight for their income. And a lot of those businesses that have been dramatically affected, like the restaurants, this, that, the other, are businesses that are within our community. So our priority was that in initial stages. However, we've also been fully aware for a long period of time that mental health issues are on the rise, and that's not only mental health issues with young people, elderly, but people who are going to businesses and work. Where's the next pot of money going to come from to be able to feed our families, or are we going to lose the business? So these are things that we're trying to work on. We're trying to work on the mental health aspects of individuals. We've got projects in the pipeline. We've also taken our first steps in trying to work on employment, and this Kickstart scheme that we launched 2 weeks ago, where we're employing 32 people in various businesses. Of those, 15 will be in TCCA, others will be in like organisations like Edible London and Haringey Hub and other businesses, that other charities that serve the community, and looking at those businesses opportunities for young people to grow and be able to gain experience and maybe to be able to utilise the platforms those businesses have to offer. And we're also looking at other initiatives that will enhance shadowing for our young people, so they can go in to see other individuals who work in our community at high profile jobs to say in the future, yes, why can't I do this? This is someone I look up to. This is someone who comes from the same background as me. So try to move towards that being an aspect. So these are all types of projects that relate to the Hackney sphere, the Hackney area, And then we want to then, after we piloted them from our Hackney office, we want to then move them out to other boroughs. And the question that you also asked was, are we going to be moving out to other boroughs? Yes. A lot of it depends on funding, because I think even if you look at the base levels of producing these certifications and going out to these businesses, it's, you know, Metin's kind of giving up all his time for free, but there's also things like printing the certificates, being able to utilize the computerization of those certificates, being able to drive to those locations, being able to spend your time there, being able to show products. So all these have a little bit of finance issues to be considered, and I think it works out to about £20 as a minimum payment for that to occur. So at the moment, the Hackney ones will be done free. We're trying to get funding to do the other areas, and I think that if it's the other areas and then what's happened now, then there'll be a small charge for organisations that want that to happen. But yeah. I think if you think about it, your business on the high street, you've got your food hygiene certificate there with a 5. Next to it with the COVID compliance, saying you're 5. So you've done everything physically possible to make sure that your business is compliant. And it's not only that. What Metin will explain to you, and I'm sure he'll come on in a minute, he'll explain to you the products that he uses are so amazing for the environment, so good for you as a human being, right? And so enhances our ability as a society to say, yes, we are doing something for the well-being of the earth. Not just the human race, which is important, but the well-being of the earth, so that our future generations can be safeguarded as well. So
that sounds amazing. Yeah. And let me just make it clear, just in case, because obviously, you know, when people hear the word audit, they think of inspection, they think of, being held accountable. This is to support small businesses. Yeah. It's not to go in and catch you out. If there is something that's not compliant, you're there. Metin will be there. Gulay will be there to support that business to actually get their 5-star, just to make it clear, because that was just going through my mind. I know that's what people, and as a teacher, when you hear the word inspection, like, you run for your life.
Yeah, I mean,
but just to make that clear, it's to support the business.
I mean, what it is there is that it's a service that was being offered where individuals will be kind of looked at. When it's an audit, we're talking about an audit looking at the complete systems that are in place, and then advising them on the best courses of action to improve your compliance rating. Now, the compliance rating is something that we give the organisations, but they don't have to display it. But if it's good practice that they can showcase that they have a high compliance rating, and the products that are purchased to make that higher is completely up to them. And some of those don't need funding to improve. Some of those are the way that you kind of set up your tables, the way you socially distance. They're basic stuff. So and where you have your hand sanitizer. So not having your hand sanitizers there, but having them there will improve your compliance rating. But Metin's the expert on that. It's not so much me, but I think it's although it's called a audit, it's not a thing that's government bound, and it's an audit that we look at as an advisory mechanism that will help businesses to be able to function.
Yeah, definitely. That's perfect. Brilliant. Lots of comments coming in. Hassan Osman has put, love that, great work as ever, guys. Gulfidan has written, amazing individuals who each truly make an amazing impact on the community. Love you guys. Bayram has put, happy Bayram. Love from Bayram. Gulfidan has put, Erim. Hassan Osman has put, great work as ever, guys. Sultan, evening, you 4 amazing individuals. And Hassan Osman has also put, the way you just broke that down, Metin, Abi, that makes so much more sense. Will you come to Cambridge for me? Yes, of course he will. I'm speaking for him. I'll let Metin answer that.
I mean, no, absolutely. I'm more than happy to go and see Hassan in Cambridge, and that is the whole point of it, to support our community, not just within London, but obviously wherever we are. But Erim hit on some really, really important points there. So yes, absolutely, there are products available that, like I said earlier, lots of our businesses went out there and bought. So they've bought the antibacterials, but like I said, that's not necessarily effective. And I challenge not only the 3 of you, but all of our watchers and listeners, go and look at the products that you've got in your kitchen or your bathroom. Look at the back where it tells you how to use that product. And I guarantee you, most people have never realized that for it to disinfect, you have to leave it for anything from 1 minute to 5 minutes on that surface. Now, you imagine the customer journey for a Turkish restaurant or a Turkish cafe. Non-compliance looks like a person working around with a cloth, using a product of some type, but spraying it on the table, wiping it with a cloth literally within seconds, and then moving on to the next table with the same cloth. immediately we can advise them that using the same cloth isn't compliant. Then we can look at the chemistry of what they're using. Is it chemistry that has to have a certain amount of time left for it to be effective? And if it is, if they're not doing that procedure, again, immediately you're not going to be compliant. Then there's the other question of, is it good for ourselves? What we've got at the moment is a situation where we are in the frying pan of COVID, and we're running the risk of jumping out of that frying pan and into the fire of chemical misuse. So if you imagine that everyone's walking around spraying bleach everywhere, on every surface, in the air, on the handles, and you're touching that, you're not considering your customer's journey. You're not considering the hazardous nature of some of these chemicals. So not only are we looking at compliance from the perspective of, are you doing the right thing so that you're stopping the spread of COVID? But it's also informing all of our Turkish businesses of what's good for them, what's good for their staff, what's good for their customer journey, so that you're overall got a much better experience. And sometimes it could be literally as simple as what Erim has said about just tweaking what you're already doing. So you might have some really good systems in place, but they're just not being utilized as good as possible. Sometimes staff training might have dropped off and people aren't aware that you have to use this product in a certain way for a certain duration. So sometimes it's really simple things, but other times it could be going in and actually realizing that a business hasn't quite understood what the circumstances are. They haven't quite understood, because of the way the information is delivered from central government to then through to local government, what they need to be doing to be fully compliant. And it's just taking that time. You're absolutely right in terms of the word inspection and audit sometimes sounds quite scary, but this is almost what we're doing. We're acting as a critical friend. We're going in there as a fresh pair of eyes with experience in the sector, and we are holding their hand to act as a critical friend, to look at their systems, to look at their procedures, their understanding, critique that, but more importantly, come out of it with a model of improving where their position is. It's not about saying you failed, you can't open your business, or you failed, you're not compliant, no one's going to come and shop here anymore. It's about understanding where the failings or the trappings are, giving that information, holding that hand, advising how to move forward, and then taking those businesses forward. So that is, overall, that's what I'm saying, the package that TCCA have put together and our role in supporting in that. Every business should really be considering this, even if they're confident that they're COVID compliant, just to get that fresh pair of critical eyes looking at those systems.
Definitely, just to get a check over. God, I think if for sure. I mean, just a few things that you've just said there has made me think, about the surfaces and the fact that people do spray and then immediately clean it off. And you're right, you need to leave it there and you need to have a different cloth. So very, very good points. And that's just in the space of 2 minutes. So imagine if you went into a business, how useful that would be for the business. Gulay, so if people want to take up the scheme, can you tell us what they should do next?
So we are mainly working with the businesses that we've already been working with within Hackney. If any other micro businesses watching this program fall under the category and want to benefit from this service, they can contact us, the TCCA. And also we are holding regular information drop-in sessions at the Hackney office. The dates are on the TCCA's Facebook page, so they can also visit us at the Hackney office just to get advice or information, and we'll be happy to assist them and give them all the information that they require.
Okay, that's brilliant. Ermiya has said yet another initiative, innovative project from the TCCA with someone like Metin on board. This will be a very important initiative. It is something that is needed by the small businesses. Thank you, Ermiya, as ever, supporting our initiatives in conjunction with the TCCA. Metin Ismet, all the way from Cyprus, has said, hello, everyone. Sorry, late joining. All you guys are amazing people. And Hassan Osman has also put, are there products you would recommend, and where can we purchase these products? Well, my next question is sort of linked to that. So, Metin, you might have to sort of answer both those questions. From a perspective of protection and products that safeguard businesses and ensure that the environment is protected, what products would you say are the safest? So my question sort of encompasses Hassan's question there.
Yeah, of course. So it's a really good question from Hassan, and obviously your own question that leads on from that. So what you're looking for is really the chemistry. There are loads of products out there that are effective to be an antibacterial and an antiviral agent. The question is at what cost, at what expense? So for example, to give you a really high level answer to that, if you imagine a restaurant, you've got a wooden table, you might have a chair that's made of fabric. If they're using a bleach-based product, they know automatically that they can't spray that bleach on that chair covering because it's going to discolor. But think, what's the first thing that you touch when you go to sit at a restaurant table to eat? The first thing you pull is the chair. So they're being COVID compliant because they've bought a bleach product they're going to use on the table. But the thing that you touch first and most often is the chair. And that's the one thing that their product is not going to be able to sanitize. So it's about changing the mindset and understanding where those touch points are, where the risk factors are, and then understanding which products are effective and ineffective and why so, and what the alternatives are. So I've got a few here just ready in terms of showing you. So this is a hand sanitizer that's an antiviral hand sanitizer. It will kill viruses, but more importantly, it's non-alcohol based. We've all had nearly, a year and a half of using alcohol hand sanitizers. And one of the things that we all complain about is one, the smell, but two, the fact that it dries your hands out and it cracks. Now, the problem is when it dries your hands out and it cracks, that crack is an actual viral entry point now. So you've actually made yourself more dangerous and more susceptible to catching the virus. So then what happens? People stop interacting with the alcohol hand sanitizers. Not only to mention from our community perspective, if you are a devout Muslim, you won't be touching it because it's alcohol based. This product is halal certified. So it's just changing, having a paradigm shift in how you look at products that could be effective, but what you're looking for. Again, each one of these products will have a BSEN rating, which is a British standards rating as to what it can and can't do. But it's just numbers. So for example, if I just said to you EN 14476, that means nothing to you and nothing to most businesses. But to me, an expert in this sector, that means to me that that product is antiviral rather than just antibacterial. But yet, if you go and buy a product off the shelf from your supermarket or your local corner shop, and you're just buying it because it says something to you that looks like it's going to kill a virus or it's hygienic, then you won't know. I mean, I've even seen mainstream products, which I won't name the product, but the scent name was hygienic. The scent name, not the product was hygienic, but the name of the scent. When you turned around and you looked at the small print on the back, it said to you, this is not an antiviral product. So if someone just goes and looks at face value, the labeling on the front, and buys that product, and they're doing everything that they can do possibly thinking they're doing the right thing, it might not be effective. Again, other products. So for example, these units, these are mister units. So we put these into businesses and a fine mist comes out of the end of it. But because the product that's going into it can be used while people are in a building, you decrease the viral load while people are in there. And what that means basically in lay terms is every person that walks into a building, having interacted with their own clothing or other people, will have a certain viral profile. There'll be a certain amount of virus on them. You bring that into the building, that product, using the right products, reduces that viral risk in that building, and you're just making the environment safer all round. So it's just educating our community in a different way of thinking and introducing them to a different range of products. But ultimately, all of those things that I showed you are environmentally friendly. So it's not at the detriment of you or the animals or your items in your business, but more importantly, it's not detrimental to the planet that we all live in as well.
Wow, very, very educational. It's fascinating to listen to you about that. Like, I feel like I need a lesson on this because it's just so interesting. No, but it's true. It's very, very informative because, this is the thing. This is the difference between being an expert and not being an expert, really. You need the experts to come in and advise you. And you've just given a prime example of why it is that these businesses need your expertise to be successful, like the chair example. I mean, that's true. That's where we all touch. When we first walk into a restaurant, we don't touch the tables, we touch the chairs. So the product has to be suitable for everything so they can clean it. So really, in a sense, you're actually getting them to be very compliant and actually save money because they won't have to buy two products for separate things as well. So it all really makes sense. We've come to the end of our program, so we're going to go on to our final words, but it's been absolutely brilliant. I look forward to hearing about the project And if any businesses out there do need support, please contact the TCCA. Like Gulay described, you can always put a comment here on the programme as well. And we're going to try and share it out so that we put the word out. But Gulay, any last words from yourself?
I'd just like to say we've obviously got an amazing team, like an expert like Metin. So I think all businesses that require this help should make use of this service and contact us, and we're here to help.
Yeah, definitely. Mehdi Ismet has put great show. Well done, everybody. Metin, great stuff. Erim, any last words that you'd like to share with our audiences?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things I want to say. One is that yesterday we ended our COVID project, not our COVID food runs, which was amazing to see members of the community coming together to once again to ensure that the most vulnerable are helped and serviced. That doesn't mean that we're not stopping helping the individuals, but we are reducing the amount of people we're helping down to minimum. That's so that we can launch new projects and develop in line with what's happening outside. And one of the things that comes to mind is that when you think back a year ago and how much work we was doing regarding COVID, and we felt that we was completely lost, and things now, when issues come up, things just seem to drop into place, and that amazes me. Like, we want to do this project, then Metin comes into the community, and there we have an immense resource that we can utilize. He's more than willing to help. We want to do this project, and he's on board. If you met 4 or 5 weeks ago, there's a whole issue of women's equality, and the women's group came in, and the women's football group came in and stepped up and then took the place and informed our community the importance of ensuring that women have a voice. And it's been that way all the way through. Whenever something does come up, the community steps up and deals with that gap and deals with that voice. So I, as a member of this community, am extremely proud of the people that we have around us and how they, day in, day out, step up without any conflicts, coming together, using the skill sets that they have. And I think that what I would like to see is this to be maintained and not us to lose our way, just to keep working together to ensure those most vulnerable, those needing help, and our complete community moves forward through this pandemic and through the future as a holistic community together as one.
Most certainly. I agree with everything that you've said, Erim, and thank you very much. I think you're one of the key people in bringing people together and holding us together, so you're like the glue to our community. So thank you very much. Yeah, it's been great. And it's true, we've been on a major journey. When I think back, it's been a good 2 years now that we've been going through this pandemic and how we've had our COVID programs and the journey that we've been on. And like you said, all the little different things that have, cropped up, but yet we've pulled through and we're a strong community still. And hopefully we'll get bigger and better and we'll form better connections. Metin, I want to give the last words to you because you're the expert, I'm telling you. So tell us. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts really isn't going to be around, the expertise of what we can do, because obviously the audits are going to be for that. So I want all of the Turkish community businesses to really understand what this offering is. My last words and thoughts are really about Gulay and Erim, because without what TCCA does, and obviously the support of Eurogenç TV and yourself as well, we can't get this knowledge out. So we've got pockets of expertise within our community. We've got amazing groups doing amazing work. The problem is that we're so disjointed and fragmented that sometimes we don't even know within our own community who the stars are and what the expertise is and what people are working on. So the silver lining that I want to see from COVID is that it's helped our community come together, mobilize, unite, and now really truly start supporting each other. And exactly, I will echo what Erim said, that this is just the beginning. COVID might have been the spark that ignited this. Now we've got to continue this long past COVID into all of the projects that we do. And we all just got to realize that we've got to put into our community that which we would want to take out if we needed something.
Inshallah is what I will say. It's the second day of Bayram, so I'd like to wish everybody a very happy Bayram. Hopefully everybody is enjoying themselves, eating plenty of baklava and desserts and seeing family and friends, but following the rules, obviously. and staying safe. Hopefully we will push through these COVID times. I do feel like there is light at the end of the tunnel, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have the three of you on my programme as ever, and you're welcome to come onto the programme at any time to, you know, showcase these initiatives, and obviously I will always support it. It's been absolutely brilliant. I feel very proud myself for being amongst such great people in the community. That's it from us. Thank you very much for all the comments, and have a very good evening. Thank you very much. That's it from us from Eurogenç TV. Good night.
Biliyor musun? Erken rezervasyon başladı. Yazın en renkli fırsatları cyprusparadise.com'da. %40, %50 hatta %60'a varan kaçırılmaz indirimler. Erken rezervasyon yap, uçak bileti fiyatına paket tatili al. Uygun fiyata Kıbrıs tatilinin adresi cyprusparadise.com. Zaman akıp gitmeden acele edin. Bir bakmışsınız yaz gelmiş. Cyprus Paradise. Tatiliniz bizimle güvende.
Kalitenin, güvenin, hızlı teslimatın adresi Ancon Furniture. Ancon Furniture ailesi olarak yeni ürünler ile hizmete devam etmekteyiz. Yeni model koltuk takımlarımız, yatak mekanizmaları bir dokunuş ile açılıp bir dokunuş ile kapanabilmektedir. Bir dokunuş ile açtığımız yatak mekanizmasının yatak çarşafı kullanıma hazır, serili olarak içinden çıkmaktadır. Yıl sonuna kadar herhangi bir koltuk takımı alan her müşterimize akıllı sehpa hediyemizdir. En iyi ürün, en iyi fiyat. Sadece Ancon Furniture'da. Bize uğramadan karar vermeyin. En iyisini biz yapana kadar daha iyisi yok.